Something new. Today we're going to talk about a serial killer here located in Phoenix back in 2005 and 2006. Some of you guys may know him as Mark. Um, sorry, I'm going to mispronounce this. Goudeau, born September 6, 1964. He's also known as a baseline killer. For those of you who don't know, he was committing crimes here in Phoenix in 2005 for I want to say 10 months. Between 2005 and 2006, starting from August until they arrested him on his birthday. So I guess, a little over a year until he got caught. He was in charge of 9 murders, 15 assaults, and 11 kidnappings. Talk about crazy, right? Here in your backyard, I mean, Phoenix is the 5th most populated city in the United States, so it would make sense to have a couple, crazy people in there. But I don't know, is this crazy? But as we do that, we will be cleaning our Jordan 1 mid pregame pack by Luka Good Don. I'm really bad with names, but Doncic. These are pretty dirty. I don't know if you guys can see from here. The light really makes it hard to see because it makes them so bright. See, they look super clean like that. But that's a lot of black dirt, and the soles are super dirty. I haven't cleaned these bad boys in a minute. So today I will be using some Rejuvenator. Those of you guys who like clean shoes, this is the way to go. Shout out to my boy Johnny Bubbles. I have the little water thing going, so I'm gonna go ahead and squirt some in there. Get it all prepped and ready. So as I tell you what happened here in Phoenix between the time frame and his background, we can get it going. If you guys want, I'll let you describe what I'm doing in another video as far as putting the soles in, what brushes I'm using and whatnot. But today I'm just going to go ahead and clean it as I'm telling you the story. And if you guys like it, if you guys want more, if you guys want me to explain the shoe cleaning video, or you can check out my boy Johnny Bubbles. He does a lot of shoe cleaning videos and he breaks it down more better than I ever could. But here we go. So, Mark Goudeau, born September 6, 1964, makes him 57 years right now. He surprisingly, and I say this because a lot of serial killers have a really rough background, but surprisingly, it sounds like he came from a pretty decent home from what I can find. Some people said he came from a family of 13. He was the second youngest, which is a really big family. Maybe back in the day, bigger families were more common, seems like, than they are nowadays. But 13 kids is a lot. It's a lot to take care of. It's a lot to look after. But the parents end up splitting, and he stayed with his dad from what I could find. And some reports said it was an okay home. Some reports said the dad was, a heavy drinker, but he held that house very disciplined. Take that for what it's worth, but he still had a good upbringing. He went to Phoenix. He was born here in Phoenix. He went to school here in Phoenix. He went to, I think it was not Cactus High. Somewhere around, where he grew up, it wasn't far from here, right? And where he went to school. He was actually an athletic star growing up in high school. He was really good at football, him and his brother, and he did really well, but he did not graduate high school, unfortunately. It says he was half a credit short from graduating high school and that he didn't want to attend summer school. So he's like, you know what? It's not going to be for me. So he ended up bouncing out, and he eventually did try to go back, not to high school, but to get his GED. And at some point, he decided, never mind, I don't want to do that. And so he gave that up. And that's his upbringing. That's pretty much all I can find in his upbringing. Like I said, it seemed pretty normal. It seemed pretty, nothing out of the ordinary. Just an average high school kid, didn't graduate. He was playing football. He was really doing really well. But, things happened and he didn't graduate. So that was that. His first charge came up when he was 18. So that was back in the almost like 82. 1982 was his first charge. Him and his brother were arrested for supposedly raping somebody. And I say supposedly only because he was never convicted of it, nor was there enough evidence to go on it from what I understood. They did arrest him though because they suspected him and his brother. But when it came time to press the charges, the female declined to do so. So maybe it was him, maybe it wasn't, but that's where it started. And then fast forward about 6 years later, the police get called to an apartment complex where they said a guy was chasing a girl and he was in the parking lot and he was beating her with a shotgun in his hand. So the police show up. They're like, yo, what's going on? And then, of course, this person takes off. They try to chase him. They don't find him right away. Eventually, they do end up saving the girl's life. I'm not sure her name, but they end up saving her. She was knocked out for 3 days due to the injuries that she sustained from the attack. And after that the way she told it wasn't true. He said she came over, they did the thing that they were supposed to do, and that when they were on their way to shower, somebody knocked on the door, and he opened the door, and he said it was a Hispanic male who broke in and beat him up, and then he went in after the female, hit her upside the head, tried to drown her, and then she was able to get away, and that the Mexicans are the ones that chased her down the road. That's what he claims. He ended up taking a guilty plea. So he ended up admitting that it was him. He did all those things. He didn't get convicted for all the charges he was originally arrested for, but he did end up getting an 18-year sentence, to which he only served 13. And then he was out on parole. So this is the first documented actual case where he was convicted of assaulting a female and almost killing her. And then this is where the real action happens. Not saying that the other one wasn't real, because let's be honest, it was. I mean, imagine you're chilling and then someone tries to drown you, and then you're able to get away, and he's like, nah, it wasn't me. It wasn't me. So he gets out and looks like he's living a normal life. The neighbors love him. They know he was in jail, but they were like, I couldn't even tell. He's such a nice guy, like very well loved in the community. And mind you, this guy was pretty big. He was 6 foot, and he weighs, currently right now, he weighs 204 pounds. I know this because you can find it online, just like you can anything else. He's here in Arizona. But anyway, sidetrack. So everyone thinks he's normal, he's going about his own thing. So it all started on August 6, 2005, when Goudeau was barely 40 years old. I say barely because I feel 40 years old, and I'm hoping I'm still young. He was 40 years old, and this was his first recorded assault after he got out of prison, where it was 9:45 p.m., and there was two teens and one 12-year-old girl who were held at gunpoint on 48th Street and Baseline Road here in Phoenix. And it says he took them behind the church at gunpoint. These three young girls, they took them behind the church. He made them undress at gunpoint, and he sexually assaulted two of the three girls, which is really sad, because when you're that young and something like that traumatic, I mean, at any age, it's going to be very traumatic. But when you're 12 years old, I mean, that's scarring beyond, I don't know. That's just sad. but he was able to basically continue. He got away, and then when not even a week later, 8 days later, on August 14, 2005, he sexually assaulted someone else and a robber at 4:10 in the morning off Thomas Road here in Phoenix, which is actually kind of close to me now that I think about it. It's actually two streets down. I don't know. I will go ahead and put a picture where it took place, but it's not. It's close. The road is close, but not the location that took place. And then he took a couple weeks off because then on September 8th, the first victim at 1 a.m., Georgia Thompson, at 19 years old, was shot to death outside her Tempe apartment, which is very sad due to the fact that, I mean, anyone who loses their life to a homicide is a sad day. But when you're 19 and you're barely getting your life together, you got your apartment going, maybe it wasn't the nicest of area, because when you first move out, you can't afford the really fancy places. So she was headed out, and she was shot in the head. May she rest in peace. But that was the first of Mike Goudeau's killings. Killings. And I know some of you guys thinking, like, why didn't they look for him? Why didn't they do this? But what they do say is at this time there was 2 serial killers. Well, 3 if you think about it. There was Mike Goudeau, known as the baseline killer, and there was the serial killers. That's what they were actually called, the serial killers. It was a pair of brothers who would go around and shoot people that were randomly walking. So imagine being in Phoenix at this time where everybody was dying and, different motives, different, what am I thinking about? Not traits, but the way they commit the crimes. There's 2 different ways they commit crimes, and they can't tie them together because there's just so many of them happening all in the same time and consistently. Clean shoe, just so y'all see, clean shoe. Woo! We got one that I know is, maybe I'll clean that again. But that was his first victim. And it wasn't until later that they finally were able to put all these cases together. And he takes a couple more days off because September 20th, 2005, he strikes again at 10:30 p.m. on Vineyard Road here in Phoenix. While walking home from a park, there was 2 sisters. One who was visibly pregnant were approached by Goudeau, who was armed with a gun. He assaulted the non-pregnant sister as he pointed the gun at the pregnant sister. And he was like, "Don't look at my face. If you look at my face, I'm going to kill you." And he did what he did. And he wore protection, which is to hide evidence, right? He doesn't want to be linked to the case. So he's trying to hide his evidence, telling people not to look at their face. He's also rubbing dirt where there was saliva to try to, again, hide the evidence. And this one was very important, the September 20th, 2005 attack, because this was basically the break in the case down the road. This is the one that led to his arrest, and this is the one that basically put him behind bars. But he didn't stop there, because on September 28th, 2009, he robbed another place on Baseline Road. I'm trying to find what it was. It's kind of hard being that it was such a long time ago. But I'm going to try and do that for you. Wait, oh, it's already in here. And then this was in the morning. That robbery took place in the morning because around 3:30 p.m., a mother and her adolescent daughter were then abducted in their car outside of a Mexican restaurant called Pancho's on Central Avenue near Baseline. I want to say it's still there. And he made him drive. So he got in, held her at gunpoint. He made her drive to a secluded area, and he assaulted him. He assaulted them both. And then he did what he does, and he went with the win. And this was in broad daylight, 3:30 p.m. Could you imagine? That means when all these were taking place, he had to have been on foot. Because if I get in a car and I tell you to drive me somewhere else, that means you're taking me farther away from my car. And in order to get back, that means I have to go to the original crime scene, which I wouldn't do. I mean, as a killer, right? Killer shouldn't do that because it makes them. If somebody saw it, then the police are gonna be there where it took place to see cameras. Then you have to go back and get your car. Could you imagine? So that's why I think he was on foot during all these beginning ones. And then it looks like he took a break for all of October because his next recorded assault was November 3rd, 2005 at 8:01 p.m. near 32nd Street in Phoenix. They said a man walked into a lingerie boutique with dreadlocks and a fisherman's hat. Walked in. He was like, yo, give me my money. Give me my money. He ended up getting $720. And not even 10 minutes later, he abducted a woman who was placing items in a parking lot donation. Like, those Goodwill ones where you like pull down and you put all the stuff you want to donate. Well, she was doing that. She was donating. And he ends up catching her off guard, making her get in the car. And this was right across the street, mind you. Making her get in the car, taking her to a secluded area, and assaulting her. And she was able to say that he wore a Halloween costume and a black plastic glasses. I know it's kind of insensitive, but I wonder what kind of Halloween costume he had. Like, what kind of mask? Because I just got a mask and I can't see out of that damn thing. I tried to scare the lady and I ended up running into the wall. But it ended up scaring her anyway because then she heard a big bang. She looked over and it was me in a Halloween costume. But he did that. He robbed the store. He ran across the street. He had her drive somewhere and assaulted her. See, again, on foot. Has to be, right? I'm assuming he has to be on foot because this was all, like, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense why he would be in a car. So this is why I'm assuming all these attacks took place close to home. Because, so he can get home faster, right? So he can run on foot. And then they don't have a car to look for. They just need to find somebody running. And I mean, how many people are out at night walking around? A lot. Especially here in Phoenix, that's the only time you can go outside or else it's too hot. So a couple days later on November 7, 2005, there was 3 robberies that took place. And they were like boom, 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 right next to each other. At 8:08 p.m. on 32nd Street in Phoenix, he started off in a Mexican restaurant called Las Brasas. He held 4 people at gunpoint. Basically took all their money, took all their stuff. Ended up getting them. Then he's like, all right, I'm going to head out. So he runs out. And then he sees there's another business next door. Because it's like the ones where they're like right next to each other. Goes next door. And it's a Little Caesars. And he robbed the 3 people inside there. He's like, yo, give me your money. Stick them up. And he takes his money, of course, the other 3 people. And then he's like, all right, I'm going to head out. So then he leaves. And then he's like, yo, there's 4 more people outside. Well, might as well. I'm already here. Which, like, if you're going to dance with the devil, you might as well lead. So he's like, give me your money. So he ends up robbing, 11 people. He ends up coming out with $463. And then they said he shot a round into the air. I'm assuming maybe one of them tried to follow. Or maybe he just shot it in the air to be like, don't follow me or else, I'm going to shoot you kind of thing. Like, I ain't scared to use the gun. But he got away. He ended up getting away. He ran, somewhere. Again, no car. No car. Then he took a month off. He's like, you know what? It's fall break. It's Christmas. It's Thanksgiving time. It's time to take a break. Because it wasn't until December 12, 2005 at 6:55 p.m. where Tina Washington left preschool work. That's where she worked, at a preschool that was nearby. And on Southern Avenue in the 40th Street in the Phoenix area, uh, there was a bus stop right there, so she was waiting at the bus stop when Mark Goudeau came up, dragged her behind a gas station and a sandwich shop. So as you can see in the picture, there's kind of like a little L. He ended up taking her to the back, and he tries to assault her, and she's not having it. And so he's like, you know what, I don't got time for this. He ends up shooting her in the head. So Goudeau's second victim, he shoots her in the head. And then a guy who was working at one of the restaurants nearby, he ends up coming out, and he sees Mark Goudeau standing over this female with the gun. So Mark Goudeau looks up and he's like, oh shoot, someone's looking at me. So he points the guns to them, and the guy slams the door and locks it. Because, I mean, like, you want to help somebody, but when they point a gun at you, what can you really do besides, run and hide, unless you have a gun yourself? But in this case, it appears he didn't. He ends up pointing the gun at him. The guy locks the door, and Mark Goudeau makes a run for it. They end up finding the body later that day. Well, like by the time the police get there. And then the next day, on December 13th, like 24 hours later at 4 p.m., there was a woman that was robbed on South Mountain Avenue in Phoenix. And they think it was him. Well, he was charged for it. But that lady just gave him his stuff, and then he bounced. And, I mean, she must have a lot of money, because it looked like Mark Goudeau took a break here, because nothing happened until February 20th, 2006. Because, you got Christmas, so you gotta get that money somehow. So you got the present money, and he went to go on vacation, so he took January off, December off, and then come back February 20th, 2006. He waited until after Valentine's Day, like a gentleman. On February 20th, 2006 at 7:30 a.m., there was 2 bodies found. There was a 38-year-old woman, Romelia Vargas, and 34-year-old woman, Myrna Palma Roman. And they were found shot to death in their snack truck. Like, not a taco truck, but I don't know if anyone here works in construction, but when you go there, there's always like a lunch lady. So they were shot to death on 91st Avenue and Lower Buckeye Road. And at this point, they knew there was a serial killer, right? And they were like, oh, this guy's going around. The description fits. And so they didn't think it was him. Dude, like, it was kind of out of the way. It was these attacks mostly happen on, like, the southeast side. And this one took place more on, like, the west side, which was, something out there. And so they thought it was drugs, because that area was known for drugs. It's not the best of area. So they thought, nah, this ain't him. So they didn't leak it until later. Until July, actually, where they were like, no, that was him. But rest in peace to those who passed away. And then on March 15, 2006, a month later, he goes at it again. At 9 p.m., there was 2 employees. One, Chow, I'm not sure how to pronounce that. They called him George. He was 23 years old. He offered a ride to his coworker, Liliana Sanchez Cabrera, who was 20. And it was her first shift at the restaurant, and it was on 24th Street and Indian School Road. I'll go ahead and put a picture up for you guys right there. And they got off, and Chow was like, yo, I'll take you home. And she was like, all right. And so they start heading home. And so I'm going to tell you what happened. I'm going to tell you what thing happened. So they were abducted in the parking lot by Goudeau. Chow's body was found in an alley on 32nd Street and Indian School Road, which is like 1 mile away from where they found the female's body of Sanchez Cabrera. And she was found dead in the car a few blocks from where this took place. So I was able to look it up, and it looked like they were at a restaurant, not a restaurant, but like maybe like a Subway or something of those lines. And so I'm thinking that, he was like, oh, you mind if I stop by to get some food? She's like, yeah, that's cool. You're giving me a ride anyway. So he gets out of the car. He goes into this restaurant, gets food, or maybe he's gonna get food, and then she screams or something. She sees what's going on. He tries to come back, or on his way back, he sees what's happening. Goudeau sees him. He kills, Miss Sanchez. Child tries to make a run for it because he's like, you know what? He's gonna kill me. He's gonna kill me. So he starts running, and it takes Goudeau. I mean, he's a pretty big guy. Like he's not your average guy. Like fist fighting, I'm sure he could take on a lot of people. So I'm sure he catches up to him around a mile, ends up shooting them, and then goes off because he knows if he would have let him live that he was probably gonna snitch him out, and then Goudeau would have to go back to jail. And after 13 years, I mean, I don't know if I don't want to go back to jail after 13 years. So he got away. This time, that was his first and only male victim of his serial killings. But after that, he didn't take much longer. Approximately 2 weeks later, on March 29th, 2006 at 9 p.m., there was a businessman who noticed blood streaks on the floor. And he calls the police. He's like, yo, there's blood here. Can you come check it out? So the police is like, yeah, we're on the way. So they show up. They try to find something, and there's nothing there. So they're like, all right, this old man's crazy. Like, yeah, there's blood, but it must have been like a dog or something. So he's like, all right, I was just calling you guys because there was blood here. And so they let him be. Oh, you know what? I never started this music. My bad, guys. I was going to play this in the background. Better late than never. I don't know if you guys can hear the little raining. But, so, he's like, all right, cool, there's nobody here. And then, maybe a week later, he was like, man, something stinks. So he follows the smell. He follows it. And lo and behold, he finds a 26-year-old female by the name of Christina Nicole Gibson. Her body was stuffed between a house and a storage unit on 24th Street in Thomas. And so, of course, the police go back, and then they find her, and they're like, oh, the first time we came here, that was her. That was her blood. Our fault. Which is kind of sad, because if you think about it, I mean, maybe she could have been alive, maybe. I mean, small chance, right? He's been shooting everybody in the head, but you never know. And then, a couple weeks later, his next victim, Sofia Nunez, 37 years old, was found by her 7-year-old son, shot to death in her bathtub. She was, trying to clean the germs, and they came up and said, no, not up in here, and ghosted her. Apparently, they said that Nunez knew Goudeau because there was no sign of forced entry. And he went in, they did the sneaky link because they found DNA all over her body. And that's how they also linked Goudeau to this crime, but also others, like in comparison. Actually, the caliber on this one is, the ballistics on this one is what also linked other crimes. Just so you guys know. And the poor kid, right? At 7 years old, imagine having to find your mother dead in a bathtub. Like, oof, I hope she didn't have the door locked, because then imagine how long it took the kid to open that door. Poor kid. But later, so, this happens, and then, again, he strikes again on May 1st, 2006 at 9 p.m. A woman was abducted at gunpoint by a man in a latex Halloween costume on 32nd Street and Thomas Road. He abducted her. He was like, yo, drive to a secluded area, somewhere where no one could see us. And he tried to assault her. And she was like, nah, I ain't having it. So, sorry, I'm trying to get this gunk out. He's like, I ain't having it. And so he was like, all right, time for you to go. He pulls the trigger and the gun misfires. The gun misfires. She realizes it. And so she gets out and she starts taking off running. She ran to a nearby house. And Goudeau was like, yo, she's going to get help. I got to go. And he bolted. So this woman was almost, I'm assuming he pointed his gun. He was like, you take off your clothes. And she was like, nope. She's like, you're going to have to kill me. He's like, okay. Hey, he tries to kill her. And then the gun goes off. She's like, bounce. So she takes off. You know, lucky for her, she didn't fall victim to Goudeau. Or else it would have been 10 kills. And then it looks like he took the rest of the May off. He was like, you know what? This month is not my month. I almost got caught. Maybe the girl got a good look at me. Maybe she didn't. I was wearing the mask. I'm going to take the rest of this month off and half of the next. Because it wasn't until June 29th, 2006 at 9 p.m. Carmen Miranda, at age 37, was abducted from a car wash on 29th Street and Thomas Road. Could you imagine? Like, nobody likes to wash their cars as it is. Like, you go and you're like, fine, I'll go wash my car. And you go, and then someone pulls up on you with a gun and is like, yo, get in the car. Because you live right down the street from this place. But where Goudeau messed up was about like an actual like big business. Was that there was cameras, and they ended up catching him on CCTV. So they were able to catch him there. Unfortunately for the female, after she was abducted, wearing his hat and his dreadlocks, the wig, he shoves her into the car, drives off. Even though like the police were pretty quick about it, it was too late. She was found dead in her car, approximately, I think it was like 91 meters away, which almost like 100 yards. And the only good thing that came out of that, I mean, rest in peace, Carmen Miranda, was that was Goudeau's last victim that we know of, right? I think it's a little sketch that there's like all these big gaps. Like, how do you go like, hey, I'm gonna kill someone this week, I'm gonna kill somebody next week, I'm gonna kill someone next week, and then I'm not gonna kill for 3 months? Like, I get it, you know, people take breaks, the killers take breaks, but I don't know, it just seems like too long a gap. And I get he lives his family life because everyone thinks he was a normal guy and he was real cool, real friendly. So I get like maybe he went on vacation for some of them. Maybe, you know, he went out camping. But for all those breaks in between, maybe there was more that they weren't able to link due to missing evidence. I don't know. That's just my guess or my opinion on it, my take on it. But these were all the ones that were documented and he was charged with. Because after this one took place, he was arrested at his home in Central Phoenix on his 42nd birthday. Ooh, talk about a birthday celebration, huh? You're over there about to blow out the cake, and then they blow out the door, and they're like, no se mueva. And then, you know, they took him in. And he was indicted on 9 murders after DNA was found at the crime scene of Sofia Nunez's murder, and the ballistics of the bullets that killed her matched the other murderers. So, you know, he wasn't careful enough. I mean, he was going for a good time. Both shoes clean. Shout out to Rejuvenator again, John Bubbles. But he was going for a good, like, almost a year. A year, really. Because if his last murder was on June 29th, his first one was in August, and he didn't get arrested until September. He did 13 months if you think about it. But even though like he only killed for 10 because he stopped on June 29th, supposedly, I think he might have, you know, snuck one in there once or twice. But hey, and what was crazy was after they found out it was him, someone shot at his house. But it's like, yo, if they got him, like, why would you shoot his house? That's someone innocent in there. Like, he was married. Since the beginning of all this, he was engaged when he first got arrested, and he did his time. Not when he was 18, but the second one where he got 13 years. He was engaged. He ended up getting married while he was in prison, and this whole time he was married. So like, she's innocent in a way as long as she didn't know, right? And they still shot the house. So it's, you know, I understand. You know, that's somebody's kid, somebody's brother or wife, whatever may have you. Then he ended up going on trial in 2005, And he's sentenced to 438 years. And he is currently serving life sentence here in Arizona. He was found guilty of 67 crimes, including 9 murders. Can you imagine? Like, one murder is like 25 to life, but this guy got 438 years. He's actually in Central Unit here on the death row in Phoenix. What's crazy, check this out, was, after it's said and done, he went to prison, and his status in prison is moderate. Like, it's not, for those of you who don't know, there's different classes in prison. There's like extremely dangerous, moderate, like not a harm. But he's moderate, which I think is the lowest you can go when you're on death row, if I'm not mistaken. But they trust him enough where they gave him a job. Like, in prison, of course. I'm not saying to let him out back in the public, but they gave him a job in prison where he was a porter of the building. He was a kitchen helper for a while. He was a porter for the laundry. He was a groundskeeper. So, I mean, it sounds like he's been doing good in prison. It sounds like he's been staying out of trouble, because I know if you get in trouble in prison, they take those privileges away, which is crazy. So, there's that. But after all this is said and done, speaking of his wife is actually has a page where he claims he's innocent. The whole time in trial, Goudeau claimed innocence. Even though he was convicted, he still said, like, it's not me. It wasn't me. Like, I did my time. I came out. I changed myself. Like, my friends know I changed. And you have an innocent man, is what he claims. And to this day, his wife is fighting for him to be released. She claims he's innocent. He has a webpage. She has a webpage where it shows on, basically, they mess up on the custody of the evidence, that there was like a break in custody. And for those of you who don't know, like, that break in custody is so important. Like, the custody chain between evidence is so important. Like, if you mess that up, your whole case can be thrown out. And that she was claiming that DNA isn't always correct, and that they made a mistake, and that sometimes people get, the DNA mixed up, and maybe it matched today, but maybe it won't match tomorrow, and that he's innocent. But no one believed him. He even tried to appeal, and it was a unanimous vote. And they're like, nah, you're staying on death row. And so he's currently there, but his wife is still loyal to him. He's still trying to get him out. Now, is he innocent? Is he guilty? I don't know. But the jurors found him guilty. So I guess at the end of the day, he is. But maybe the wife is right. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe before he passes away, he might say, I did it, or he might hold his innocence. They do say, like, some people, right before their time, they're like, all right, it was me. Like, you got me. And sometimes they're like, nope, it wasn't me. You guys are going to kill an innocent man. I can't believe you're going to do this. But as of right now, he's still holding an innocence. He's here in Florence, Arizona. And yeah, that's it. That's Goudeau. What do you guys think? Do you guys like this story? Do you guys want more of them? Because there's a lot of serial killers out there. Let me know in the comments below whether you guys want to see another one. Ended up cleaning both shoes. I had enough time to clean both shoes. They're not too bad. I didn't throw them in the washer like they recommend. But that's because, I'm doing a video. I can't just get up and go to the washing machine and grab the bags and put them in there. But I was able to clean them. Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate each and every one of you. May the victims rest in peace, and may justice be served to everyone who deserves it. Until next time, keep the party going. Thank you guys. See you later. Peace.